the thing, I was like, so I'm probably looking like
hear
this
us?
in it.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
Oh, what did that say, Aaron?
What did what say?
Grab
a note sheet. You're going to need it this morning. So if you're in-house, you're in the lobby, be sure to grab a note sheet.
Yeah.
If you're watching online and you're not watching on your phone, we do have the notes on the app, or just take notes on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever works best.
Yeah,
or a piece of paper, whichever one works best for you. A lot of people watch this on their TVs.
Yeah, when we got snowed into our apartment a few weekends ago, we watched it online on our TV. I had all my roommates watching.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We enjoyed it. I would say, well, good morning. Sorry, everyone. I interrupted our good morning because I was confused on what that note was. I was just like, is that for today?
It is for today. Yes.
Say, well, I'm glad that you reminded us.
Well, a lot of people don't grab the note sheets.
I mean, I have my own notebook, so I guess I don't usually.
Some people use notebooks. I mean, if you have your own system of taking notes, perfect.
That's awesome.
Otherwise,
just grab a note sheet. They're there.
We provide them for you.
Yeah, they're there for you. I say, just to recap this. Wait, wow, I just did not English. To recap this week, Aaron helped with the college group, and we had a secret Santa or dirty Santa exchange yesterday. So much fun. So if you're not part of the college group, please join us. We had a great time.
Yeah. 18 to 25 years old.
So I ended up leaving with technically my own gift. Because I didn't know what was in the gift. And then when it was opened, I was like, that was in there. I want that. So I took it.
You took the Wordle thing?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I wanted that back.
That was a good gift. I just
thought it was the clear puzzle. There was a clear puzzle in one of the gifts, which Hannah did solve.
Really?
She sent me a picture of it. I'm very impressed.
That's impressed.
So
Hannah,
that's
if you're watching,
secret.
I need a picture of that.
Shout out to Hannah.
Get her to send me a picture.
I'll show you. Okay,
perfect.
So that's just a snippet of what it was, but it was so fun. So thank you, Aaron. For that.
Absolutely.
It was
I'm
awesome.
glad everybody had fun. And everybody left right after. Nobody went and played in the gym, which was good.
Well, hey, we'll do that maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
But it was Christmas, I guess, this week. So I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas.
Did you have a very Merry Christmas, Kara?
I had a great Christmas. Did you?
I did. It was fantastic. It was nice
happy.
and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
It was warm, which was really gross. But other than that,
I was kind of happy about that. I was in leggings and a t-shirt, and I was like, this is great. Like, I'm not freezing. I walked outside. Like, I was just walked around. I was like, this is great. It was a little rainy, though, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't go outside. I don't think. No, I had to take a walk.
This is the first time Aaron's been outside, was walking here.
You think I walk here?
So you haven't been outside.
I went outside. I had to take a phone call outside.
Oh, that's good. Get some fresh air.
Took a lap around my building and the building next to mine, but no, I just...
You got out of the house, guys.
I got out. It was nice. I was wearing a sweatshirt and jeans, and I was like, oh, I don't need this at all. It's gross.
It was very nice. So
I've been outside this week.
Aaron's like, please, everyone believe I actually went outside.
People just believe anything you guys say about me. Because, especially Josh. Josh will be like, happy 40. I literally had people wishing me, a happy 40th birthday.
I mean, I believe it. I just come on here to just kind of roast Aaron, typically.
Absolutely antagonize.
Yeah. You gotta level out that ego sometimes.
Oh, gosh,
What's going on this coming week? Is really
this coming week, I think it's
New
just... it's New Year's. So a week after Christmas Eve is New Year's Eve. And a week after Christmas Day is New Year's Day. It's the way the calendar works.
Yeah, that is true.
So no Wednesday night activities this week. No college group this Thursday night.
It's very sad.
But you know what's happening tomorrow?
What's happening tomorrow?
Cornhole. Adult Indoor Cornhole League. Have you not? Oh, that's right. You've been out of town. Yeah, they have Cornhole League on Monday nights.
Wow.
You should show up.
I'm not very good at cornhole.
Neither am I, and I still go.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes. Not always.
Yeah, I would go to beat Aaron.
Don't quote me on that. I usually take pictures.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm so good they actually don't let me play.
Wow. Yes, I bet that's exactly what they say when you walk in.
No, the last time I went, no joke, I was taking pictures, and they're like, Aaron, you got to play. And I was like, I don't want to play.
Double and pass to the next.
Eliminated after 3, like back and forth being 2. So me throwing, my partner throwing would be 2. Got eliminated after the 3rd.
Are you joking?
No.
So they probably aren't letting you play again.
They are. They definitely want me to because I'm the easy
Oh yeah, they're like okay.
The easy seed.
First round.
Yeah, I'm the Dallas Cowboys of cornhole.
Wow, we might have had people leave. I mean, I'm not mad at that comment personally, as a Patriots fan.
Tristan's over here laughing. Listen, it's the Bills' year. I think they're going to the Super Bowl, but we'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah, same. I don't really have any other.
There's nothing. There's really nothing going on this week.
I've seen the camps that are over the summer, so maybe just keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a kid that's interested in kids camp, so they'll have finished. They're in 2nd grade and they're going to finish 2nd grade by summer, or they're in 5th grade and will finish 5th grade by summer. Sign them up for kids camp.
they going
The
to the same
deadline to
place?
secure your spot is over, but there's still some spots, so definitely sign up.
Are they going to the same place as last year?
No, they're going to the same place as 2 years ago. They're going
Oh.
to Eagle Eyrie this year. Century Kid Camp again, which is awesome. Last year we went to
Oh, I can't
like
think of it either.
blocked
It's in
it out.
Lynchburg, though, isn't it?
Camp Eagle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep. Well, Eagle Eyrie's in Lynchburg as well.
Oh, wait, they both are they in the same place?
Yeah, no, one's in Fincastle. One's in
okay,
Camp
okay,
Eagle's
okay.
in Fincastle. Eagle Eyrie's in Lynchburg. It's super, super fun. But yeah, we've got an interesting, different kind of morning this morning. I'm not going to give you any heads up, but definitely you're going to want to take notes. And it's going to be super, super awesome. So we got 41 seconds. I left my favorite Christmas present in my office. But thank you, Megan and Ryan and Haley and Zach.
What they
for-
get you? Oh, no. I thought he was going to say the one that he got yesterday at the gift exchange. But
no. I'll have to bring it in next
Oh,
week.
gosh.
So
Come back next week.
come back next week. You'll get to see what it is. See you guys.
Bye. Psych. Still on us. No, don't awkwardly stare. I can't do that.
Well, good morning and welcome to Bethel Baptist Church. Man, sometimes that's a tongue twister, and I almost said Bethel instead of Bethel. So, hey, we're glad you're here. Welcome to Sunday morning. It is post-Christmas. How many here have the post-Christmas feelings going on today? Like you're tired. It's been a big week. Yeah, everybody knows we've ate a lot of food, opened a lot of gifts, and stayed up way too late. We did a lot of that staying up late this weekend, and we're feeling it too. But we hope that you had a wonderful Christmas. Hope that you enjoyed time with family and friends. We're glad you're here with us today. We have a very special service planned for today. I will tell you right out the gate Today is going to be extremely different than normal, and there's a reason and a purpose behind that. I think by the time we're done, you'll understand. And I think sometimes it's good to do things that are different because we get used to the same thing all the time, which is not bad either. But sometimes we need a little bit of shake up to think about things and think about our life and gain some new perspective about what the Lord's doing in our life. So that's what today's about. So we're just going to ask you to roll with the flow. We're going to ask you to get involved. It's going to be a very interactive service, not necessarily making you come up here, but we are going to ask you to do some things. And so we're going to ask you to take part in that and be a part of today, because I think it's really important as we're moving into a new year this year that we do this, and it's going to be really good for all of us as a church. But before we get started, I have a couple of things I want to share with you. This week, New Year's Eve is on Wednesday, and so due to that, we will not have any Wednesday night activities. All of our regular scheduled programming will start back next week, and so we'll have all of our kids and students and everything else that takes place on Wednesdays will start back next week on Wednesday, a week from this coming Wednesday. So don't bring them here Wednesday night because we won't be here, and but we look forward to getting back with our team kid, with our students, college, young adults, everybody that happens throughout the week, all of our different groups, our men's group, our women's group. And so we look forward to starting that back in about a week and a half or so. So anyway, we're getting ready to get things started. But before we do, we want to give you guys a chance just to say good morning to one another. But I'm going to ask you a favor. We've had a lot of people. We've been talking and we've been hearing from a lot of people that have been sick in the last week or so. So let's do this. Let's stand up. Let's speak to people. Let's not shake hands today. Let's just say hello to people and say good morning and try to keep everybody well today. Some people's hands, I'm still waiting. It's like that's right away. Man, I tell you what, you wouldn't believe the amount of people this week we've been told, like we've hospital visits.
Yeah, we were just talking about that this morning.
It's been that group they're talking about. All right, we're going to ask everybody to be seated. As you can see, our worship team is not up here today. And again, there's a reasoning for that. We have a purpose behind everything we do. Before we start today, I wanted to take just a second, and I wanted us to, here in a minute, we're going to pray. But before we do, we're going to do something a little bit different now. Our whole service, again, is going to be a little bit different. Again, everything today is going to be about gaining perspective. And so to start today, right out the gate, which we don't normally do till later in service, we're going to go ahead and dismiss our kids and our leaders to Children's Church. And so if you're a kindergarten through fifth grader, we want to go ahead and send you on out. And then we'll meet up with you. I promise we won't keep your parents in here till like 11:50 today, because I know we're at least sending you out early. But we are going to send you out before we get started with today. And for everybody else, I'm going to go ahead and invite you. If you're going to need something to write with today, so if you've got a pen, a piece of paper, I highly encourage you to grab one of the note sheets in the back. Any kids left in here, kindergarten through fifth grade, that want to come join us for Children's Church, where everybody else is grabbing a pen, a piece of paper. The note sheets today are perfect for what you need. If you don't have one, you can grab one right outside this door or one in the back. You definitely need something. This is very much going to require you to get involved today, and so this is why I'm giving you time to do this while they're going to kids' church or the Children's Church. All right. As they're heading out, everybody got something to write with? All right, good, because you're going to need it here in just a minute. But before we do, what I want to do is I want to pray, and I want to ask God to work on us to have an open heart to what he wants to do today. Like I said, this is very different, definitely not our norm. But again, I think that's good. We a lot of times we get in the same comfort zone of the same things. And sometimes we need to allow God to shake things up a little bit in our life to gain some perspective with him. So would you join me as we pray this morning and ask him to do that very thing? God, I would ask that today, for everybody that's in this room and everybody that's online, God, I would ask that you would speak to us today. Our message is going to be very different. Our time that we normally spend in music is going to be very different. But God, we are grateful to get to be in your house today and to be able to spend this time with you. And Lord, as we take some time to look back on our life and the things that you've done, God, I pray that we'd be open with ourselves, but most importantly, I pray we'd be open with you. And God, as we move into our message for today that allows us to also see perspective, I pray we would hear, God, what you've done in the life of someone, and God, how you've worked in their life and the perspective that they've gained that will hopefully help our mind and our heart get into a place where, God, that maybe we need to be looking for what you're doing and, God, paying very much attention to, God, to what you want to say to us and do in our life. And so I pray right now in this place, God, I pray that your Holy Spirit would work in a way, in such a way, God, that when we leave here, we know today that we have been in your presence. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Before we start, I wanted to read 2 verses of scripture for you that are the foundation for what we're doing. I called Pastor Hilton the other day. I said, hey, I got this crazy idea, and I think it would be great. We're leaving 2025, and we're going into a new year. And how many people here, raise your hand if you've ever made a New Year's resolution. All right, so the majority of people, I would say that's probably 85 to 90% of the people that are in here have made some sort of commitment. We're leaving 2025, we're going into 2026. But I think one of the reasons that we oftentimes, let me ask this question, how many people have made New Year's resolutions that have not been successful? That's even more hands than before. And the reason I think a lot of times that we're unsuccessful is because we don't take time to look back. Because it's hard to move forward if we don't learn from where we've been. And we need to be able to see what God's done in our life. So I called Pastor Hilton the other day. I said, hey, I have this crazy idea for service, and can I run with it? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. And so I think this is so important. And it comes from Psalm 139, verses 23 and 24. And these 2 verses say this: search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts, and see if there are any hurtful ways in me, and lead me in the everlasting way. So in those 2 verses, we're asking God, the psalm writer is writing saying, God, search me. If there's anything that's hurtful, if there's anything that's making me nervous, if there's anything that's in me, God, help me go the way, the everlasting way, which is his way. But it's hard to go forward if we haven't taken time to look back to see what God's done. So that's what I want us to do today. So if you have a pen and paper, we're going to have the questions on the screen. We got some questions that I want to ask you today, and I'm going to give you like 1.5 to 2 minutes to answer each question. And I just want you to run with the first thing that hits you in your brain. I don't want you to spend a long time thinking about it, because I'm going to give you a chance to do this after you leave today. But I want you to take the first thing that hits your mind. And so let's start with question number 1 and kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. In the last year, how did God grow your love for your family, the church, and your neighbors in the last year? How did God grow your love for your family, the church, and your neighbors in the last year? And I want you to write these answers down. If you have a note sheet, if you have a phone, I know you have a notes app on there. If you don't have a pen, I want you to pull something out, and I want you to write these answers down, because there's going to be a challenge at the end to do something with these. We're not just doing this for right now. How did God grow your love for your family, the church, and your neighbors in the last year? All right, so here's question 2. What victories did you have in your family, your relationships, and in your personal or professional life in 2025? What victories did you have? Just real quick, what are some of the things that you look back on in 2025 and you said, man, that was a victory in my life? That was something God did in my life. Write that down. Just 1, 2, 3, however many. Maybe you can pick a couple. What are some victories you had in your life in 2025? All right, next question. This one might be a little tougher. As hard as it might be, what are some of the things you grieve from 2025? What are some of the things that you look back on and you grieve that happened in 2025 that were hard? And maybe they've been hard for you to think about. Maybe they're hard for you to think about now. What were some of the things that you grieved in 2025? While we're on the not so good things, what were some things that you wasted your time on in the last year? What are some things that you really threw away some of your time on in the last year? Now let's flip the script. What did you invest your time in that truly mattered in 2025? What things did you invest your time in that truly mattered in 2025? Next question. When you look back over the last year, what was the greatest challenge that you faced, and what did you learn from it? When you look back over the last 12 months, and just in your head, the very first thing that you think of, what was the greatest challenge you faced, and what did you learn from it? A lot of times in our greatest challenges, we tend to experience the grace of God, and this doesn't have to necessarily go towards that greatest challenge. But the next question would be this: how did you experience the grace of God in 2025? When you think back over the last year and you look at everything that God's done in your life, how can you see the grace of God in your life in 2025? and not only experiencing the grace of God this last year, how did you grow in your love for Christ in this last year? As a believer, we should all be growing every day in our love for the Lord. So when you look back and look at your life and you look at your journey, how did you grow in your love for Christ in this last year? I really want you to think about this next question when you think about your prayer life with the Lord. How deep or how shallow was your prayer life with the Lord in 2025? How deep did you go? How shallow did it feel? Did you feel like you were hitting a ceiling? How deep or how shallow was your prayer life with the Lord in 2025? And thinking about your prayer life, what were some of your key prayers this year? What were some of those things that you really dialed in on and praying for this year? Which ones did God answer? Maybe specifically how? And what things do you need to continue praying for? thinking about all these questions that we've asked so far, I have two questions we want to finish with. The first one is, what have you learned about yourself? And in that, what things need to be changed or moved or added in order for your life to better look like Jesus? When you think about all the questions you've asked and you think about this last year, what have you learned about yourself? What things need to be changed? What things need to be removed or added in order for your life to better look like Jesus? Last question. What are you most excited for at the end of this year? Or what are you most excited for in the new year? All right, so here's what we want you to do with these. We gave you about 90 seconds on every question, and that's not a lot of time. But the reason I really wanted you and we really wanted you to write them down is because we wanted you to take them home. Because there's probably a lot more that you could think through and think about if you actually sat down and took some time with these. There's an old saying, it's hard to move into a future when you don't remember your past. It's hard to see the things that are coming if you don't learn from the things that have happened. And it's particularly true in the life of a believer. And moving forward with the Lord, and especially moving into a new year and all the new things that are coming, we need to pay attention. We need to gain perspective for what God's doing in our life. And I thought this was particularly important on a day like today. Pastor Hilton's getting ready to come up. I'm going to pray, and Pastor Hilton's going to come up, and he's going to introduce our message for today. And you're going to get to hear from someone about perspective. But it's important that we have our own, and it's important that we recognize the perspective that others has as well. And so I hope that as this week kind of transpires, as this week unfolds, I hope that you'll go through these. I hope that you'll celebrate the things that God has done. I hope that you'll pray through the things that maybe Maybe they're harder things. Maybe you'll ask God to help you continue through those things. And maybe you'll keep praying on those things that still need your prayers. And you'll allow God to continue working and speaking into your life and doing the things that you've been asking and praying for maybe this whole last year. But God wants to do something in particular in your life individually, in our life as a church. But we need to pay specific attention to what it is he is doing, has done, and is continuing to do in our lives. So I'm going to pray. Pastor Hilton's going to come up, and we're going to hear a little bit more about perspective. Well, God, we're thankful for today. We're thankful for the chance to be here in your house and to be with your people and be our family of the Lord's family, God. And we're grateful for all that you've done in our life. We're grateful for how you've spoken to our life. God, thank you for a few minutes for us just to sit down and really look at what you've done in our life. God, I pray that we would reflect on that. I pray that we wouldn't take these moments for granted. I pray that we would use these things to go home and to think long and hard about, God, who are we? And God, what are we watching unfold in our life through what you're doing? God, help us to gain perspective on our own life. But God, right now in the next little bit, help us to lock in and to help see perspective through someone else's eyes and your work in their life. And God, what it can mean for us and what it has meant for them and what it will continue meaning for them. And Lord, we look forward to hearing your word and your goodness and your testimony in this life today. Lord, we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
In the summer of 2023, a lot of you remember this because we lifted so many prayers for Steve Doyle. He went through a very, very, very serious surgery where the surgeon had to remove a very aggressive tumor. To me, it's a miracle he's here. Not only is he here, but he's come a long ways. I know I was talking to Steve a few weeks ago and about the possibility of him being able to share what God has done in his life during the past 2 years. So Steve, you come on up, brother, and you share whatever God's laid on your heart.
Now, there we go. All right. Wow, booming. Okay, so I'm Steve Doyle. Straight up front, I'm not a public speaker. I imagine this is going to be short, so get out early today. I normally don't do stuff like this, but a friend of my dad's was actually visiting, and he was asking about it, and I was telling him, and he says, "You really should share it." I said, "Sure, but it's been in the back of my mind. It's been working. And so I can't get up here and say that I'm 100%. Nobody tells you that you go to visit the doctors, do all of that stuff. Nobody tells you about the recovery process. You get all the warnings, all the concerns, and this is what we're going to do. But there's hardly any mention of recovery process at all. Different things. I mean, I've broken arms and legs and, 4 or 6 weeks, whatever. When they mess in your head, it's a little bit longer, a lot longer. But I will say, God has been with me through the whole thing. And it's interesting. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 61 years old. I've been around for a little while. It's interesting how God works. And you see movies or presentations where God shows up in a vision and does amazing things. Hasn't really worked that way in my life. A big lot of it, God has showed up through people. His people mostly. I mean, he will use others, but and a huge amount of it came from this group right here. So I'm going to start, and hopefully I keep it straight. I did have a brain tumor, and it does affect things a little bit. So I want to try to keep it straight. So I have notes, and if I get off track, I apologize in advance. But I'm going to go way back, just give you a short, brief history of my life. And I'm going to go back to 1956. Vincent Thomas Doyle. I use his full name because Dad is a junior. So depending on who you're around, some people call him Vincent, some people call him Thomas. And before VT was a thing, that was also one of the names he is called is VT for Vincent Thomas, not Virginia Tech. And but in 1956, Vincent Thomas Doyle and Shirley Doyle went on a blind date. They were from this area, Roanoke, Salem area. And things pursued on. 1957, they were married. Dad worked at GE, and I don't know, a lot of you may be too young to remember, but back in the day, they used to have long strikes, you know, and it was rough on people. Dad put in applications everywhere, and he got a response from NASA in Florida, and he ended up being offered a position and accepted it there. So him and Mom packed up and off to Florida they went. Got a house, did the normal young married thing, wanted to start a family. Well, things didn't really work out. They were not able to get pregnant. So they looked into adoption. Back then, everything went through social services. There was no private adoption things and stuff like that. And it was a chore. I mean, they had to go through a lot of interviews together. They separated them. They had to do a lot of individual interviews. They came to the house and researched everything and checked them to see if they would be okay parents. And after going through all that, they were approved. So June 22nd, 1964, I was born. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. 14 days later, I was delivered to them in Merritt Island, Florida. And apparently I wasn't too rough on them because 3 years later, they did it again. And I have a little sister, Sharon. We were a normal family. One thing though was Mom and Dad were Christians. So God has been a part of my life from the very beginning, the way I look at it. Not because of anything that I did, because of what they did. So when we were in Florida, we went to church at First Baptist of Merritt Island. It was a pretty good sized church. And at the time I didn't realize it, but Adrian Rogers was our pastor for a while. And he went on to lead the Southern Baptist. I mean, he was an amazing, amazing man. But I was fairly young. The one thing I remember about him, he used to bang on the pulpit a lot to make a point. I don't know why that stuck with me, but it did. So I've had a lot of influence over the years. We were the normal young family. The only thing really different about us was when vacation time came, we didn't go to the beach. We came to the mountains. Came up to Virginia because all my family is in this area. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, all that stuff. So and I think it was mostly my parents' influence more than the church, but I had a lot of influence in a great environment. So when I was 8, I accepted Christ. Things went well, but you do that with an 8-year-old mind. You know, it got into high school, and I was open more than I probably should have been to influence from friends and TV and stuff like that. And they had a way of making things look really cool that it was sort of misleading. You get into it at the beginning, and yeah, sure enough, you know, this is kind of fun, but you don't realize it's a trap. It's like fishing, you know, you put the bait out there, but then you get the hook later on. because I did. I started out and got into drinking and hanging with the wrong people and stuff like that. And this was back in the late 70s, early 80s. We did a lot of things we shouldn't have, drinking and driving. I mean, that's just as stupid as it can be, but we did it, and I feel that God, even though I had moved away from him, he was keeping an eye on me. He kept me straight. And then about 1981, I was a senior in high school, 17 years old, going to turn 18 right after I graduate. And Dad had an opportunity for an early retirement. And so he took it. But the cost of living in Florida was high. And all our family was here. So he got to looking around, and they found a house up here. But they were very considerate about it. They rented a house so I could stay and graduate with all my friends and stuff in Florida. Well, me being 18 and the 18-year-old attitude, I thought, I'm not going to Virginia. I want to live here. Really didn't want to do college. So I said, so I got to looking what I could afford on my own. And the more I looked, the worse it looked. I said, well, maybe Virginia's not so bad. At least my family's there, So we packed up and moved to Virginia. And didn't take long to get settled because Dad had already found a house and all that. But Mom and Dad, being the good Christians, we started looking for churches. And we went all over, and I was basically along for the ride, because I had drifted away. But I believe that was God's opportunity to kind of get me straight again. Because as long as I held out with those, and a lot of those people, they weren't bad people. They were mostly good people, and they were my friends. But we were all going down the wrong road together. And God pulled me out of that and got me up here. But it wasn't just a snap of the finger, oh, everything's wonderful. I had to work my way back in. You have to move closer. It's just like not all at once. So they looked around and they found Bethel. And at the time, I was 18. And my outlook on life and views were a little bit different, So I was there, but I did notice there was a pretty young blonde in Bethel, But it never worked out. I never got in the same circles she was in or anything. But I figured that's a plus. So then life's moving on, and I found a nice Dodge 4x4, and I know what in the world has this got to do with anything, but it's part of the story, and I'll try to tie it all together. I've always been more mechanical type person. As an infant, when they got me, they didn't realize they got damaged goods. I had eye problems from birth. As an infant, I had a couple of operations, and so they were very good parents. I mean, they gave me the opportunity to try sports and stuff like that, but sports just wasn't my thing. I didn't get into it. But if it had a motor on it or it was mechanical, I loved it. So I got into the trucks and all that stuff, and I found this Dodge 4x4. Well, this was in '82. I mean, back then you didn't have the internet. You couldn't go online and order a lift kit and stuff you wanted for your truck. I mean, so I found a local spring shop, and they re-arched the springs, and I got lift. I got 35-inch mud tires. It was nothing like a monster truck, but I was pretty proud of it back then. And the day after I got it, Dad and I were headed to West Virginia. We had some family land out there, and he was concerned about, we went out every so often to make sure people weren't cutting the timber and things like that. And I just wanted to see what the truck would do. And we took off, living in Salem, down 81 to that way, and got just almost to the Christiansburg Mountain. So not far, maybe 8-10 miles. And the right front wheel started shaking violently. I mean, it was all over the place. We pulled over, and whoever put the tires on, they got the lug nuts cross-threaded. They were stripped. And it broke 2 of the studs, and the other 3 had wobbled so bad they were dangerously close to coming off. So we got over on Route 11, and 10, 15 miles an hour, we made it all the way back home. Spent the whole day working on that truck, fixing that stuff, and sitting there, and a friend stops by the house. And back then they had drive-ins. For you young guys, you'd take a car and go watch a movie at the drive-in. Well, before I had the lift kit and stuff even, we would occasionally go and just pull in the wrong way and have lawn chairs in the back and sit back and chill and watch movies. And it was pretty decent. And so I don't remember what it was, but it was some good movie that was there. And he'd come over and said, well, why don't we go see the movie? And I said, no. I said, it's been a rough, bad day. And Mom and Dad encouraged me, well, you need to get out and just go relax, So I said, all right, I'll go. And we got all the way up to the gate, and they closed it and said they were full. I said, oh, added to the day, So I turned around and we come out, and I think it was Shenandoah, but whatever road it was sitting there. And then my friend says, hey, there goes my sister and Denise. I didn't know who Denise was, and I just figured he would not be with his sister, so I wasn't trying very hard he said, let's try to catch up with him. And I got behind him, we got up there, and the stoplight caught him, and they had to stop for the stoplight. So he jumps out and runs up there, and he says, we can go meet him at the Ground Round. Ground Round is kind of a restaurant. It's like a bar restaurant kind of thing, but you could eat peanuts and throw them on the floor. So we went to Ground Round, and did that for a while, and we loaded up in the truck and went, and don't recommend this, rode around in the Roanoke River for a little while. We had a good time, and by the end of the night, when I had her phone number, and next day I found out, well, whatever movie that was, it was playing at a different drive-in in Benton. And so when I was young, I was very shy. The kids that will hide behind their parents' legs when somebody comes up and stuff like that? That was me. I'm not. And amazing enough, as I've gotten older, and I blame it on my dad mostly, I've gotten much more outgoing. But when I was young, I was not. And so it was amazing that I came away with her phone number. And I called her and said, hey, that movie's playing and all that. And she agreed. We went to the movie. And, I thought, well, shoot, I'm going to make this thing good. Went and got ice cream. It was July or August. It was hot. Back then, a lot of the vehicles, especially trucks, did not come with air conditioning. And, man, that was a mistake, a big mistake. There was ice cream on the steering wheel, all over the seats, the floor cushions, and what was left ended up thrown in the bed of the truck. I mean, I thought, oh, this will be nice. We'll have ice cream cool down. It didn't work out that way. But amazingly enough, even after that, I got another date. So I believe God was part of that, because I didn't do well. So after that and continued dating, and on August 10th, 1985, we were married right here in this church. Looked a lot different then. The carpet was red, there was pews, there was a piano, there was an organ, but the same church. And marriages were a little bit different back then too. We had a nice reception, but it was here at church, right below us down in the fellowship hall. We had cake, mints, and peanuts, and punch. That was it, But it worked. We just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary. She's hung out with me that long. So life went on. November 17th, 1994. I'm sorry, I got out of order here. August 12th, 1989, our first son, Adam, was born. Normal thing, we do the young married thing, have kids. A few years later, we were pregnant again. She was. But that one didn't go quite as well. We had a miscarriage on that one. Then November 17th, 1994, our son Aaron was born. Life moves on. Then in May 26, 2013, our son Adam got married. So we got our first daughter-in-law. Little different for me. I mean, we grew up, my poor wife, all our pets were males. She had me, the two boys, and I mean, she was very patient with it. And then on April 17th in 2022, Aaron got married. And it's kind of interesting. Our boys are like night and day. You raise them the same, or you think you raise them the same way and do it, but they're both wonderful young men, but they have very different personalities. Well, my daughter-in-laws are the same way. Wonderful young ladies, and it's that God definitely had a part in that, because knowing the way they were and all that, I had an idea in my mind of what they should marry, but they had a different idea in their mind, and what they did was wonderful. I love my daughter-in-laws. I've been blessed tremendously through them. And then after that, like young marrieds do, my oldest, Adam and Kate, they had a baby. So now I'm a granddad, and love that. That's actually a gift from God right there. You hear all the stories, and I've heard them for years. Look forward to it, but you don't really get it until you have one. That's kind of the history of my life. So we just moving on in normal life and all. When we moved to Virginia, I started having headaches, and young and not too bright, I didn't pay much attention to them, ignored them. But later on, after they got a little more intense and stuff, I found out I had sinus problems. So dealt with that for years and years and years. I did allergists, I did shots, went to ENT, and then finally the ENT, we got to consider cleaning your sinuses out. So that was a good bit later in life. I was in my 50s by that time. And he went in and I call it Roto-Rooter, but he cleaned my head out. And it worked. I mean, it helped with the sinus infections, but I still had headaches. I could not figure out, I'm dropping all my pens. I could not figure out why I was keep having headaches. And I would go see one doctor, well, I've done everything, try the other doctor, I did all that. And so I was back to the sinus doctor. And he said, well, really all that's left is an MRI. He says, to see what else is going on in your head. And I said, at this point, well, sure, fine. So it took about a week to get an appointment, and went and did the MRI. And the next day after the MRI, I get a phone call while I'm working, and he says, "Hi, this is Dr. So-and-so. I hate to tell you, but you've got a brain tumor." And it was weird, because that's not something you want to hear. But in a way, at least I know what the problem is, because not knowing and dealing with the effects of it, because, and something I forgot to mention, the reason I got kind of almost like a little more pushy with the doctors, I was getting more symptoms, a little more trouble thinking, and we've got it's not really large, but our yard at our house is decent size. And Denise has always been a blessing, and she helps me mow. Put her on the ride mower, and she rides around and all that, and then I'll do the trimming and things like that. Well, I was several weeks in a row, I would help be out there, we'd be mowing, and I could go 20, maybe 30 yards, and I get really tired. And I'd go lay down in the garage and lay on the cool concrete and lay there for about 10, 15 minutes, and I could get up and do some more. And my mind was messing with me a little bit. You know, it's like, wow, you know, this getting old stuff's hard, because I was late 50s, you know. I thought this part of the aging process. And then it finally got, and then the other thing too, I'm a service tech. I drive a lot from my work. And it was almost every day I'd save my lunch for late afternoon so I could take a nap. I couldn't get home you know, because I found, and then there again, that's God working. I found that, you know, my head would nod sometimes, because I cover a large area. My territory is from just below Harrisonburg all the way down to the state line. So I do a lot of driving. And I thought, man, this is not good. You know, I could get hurt, or I could hurt somebody else. You know, you don't want to fall asleep driving. And that's why I put more and more pressure on, and then found out I had the brain tumor. So do all that and go visit, set up an appointment with a surgeon at Carilion. And the other thing is, you know, like every good person in America, you check it out on the internet. And it was weird, because when I kept looking from the information, you know, you go on my chart and all that, and they have the notes from the MRI, it kept coming up as a childhood tumor. And I thought, well, I'm definitely doing something wrong, whatever. And went to see the surgeon, and he said, sure enough, yeah, it's a childhood tumor. I'm at that point 59, and and then while searching the internet, you always find these things, suggestions to talk to the doctor. And so when I was in there and we went over all that stuff, and I really liked the surgeon. He made a very, very good impression, very smart man. And but when I asked him how many he had done, he hadn't done any. And then so I was thinking, you know, I want him in my head, you know, that to be the first one. And I asked him for a referral and went on. And then I don't know if I forgot or what, but for whatever reason, I called Duke directly. I did all the research. And just so you all know, we're really blessed where we live. You go south a little bit, you have Duke. You go over to the east a little bit, you got Johns Hopkins. You go north, you got UVA. And you go out to the west, you got the Cleveland Clinic. And it's all just a few hours drive any direction. And they're all wonderful facilities. And I did a lot of research. And for that type of tumor, it seemed the Duke kept coming up. So set up an appointment, did all that, and had a few weeks till the appointment. I was working, but something was bothering me. I wasn't comfortable with it. I don't know how or why or exactly how to describe it, but I thought, well, you know, I wonder, you know, a lot of time driving, so you think while you drive, it's like, did I really choose the right place to go for this, you know? And the phone rang, and, you know, nowadays, all the spam calls, stuff like that, I looked at it, didn't come up with a name. I said, well, I don't know if my first thought was, I'm not answering it. Then I noticed the area code, and the area code was North Carolina. So I answered the phone, and he said, this is Dr. So-and-so. I'm the head of neurology at Duke. And I thought, oh, this can't be good. So I pull over, and he said, I'm calling because you got an appointment with two doctors. I thought that was a little strange, but, you know, whatever. So I talked to him and said, look, you know, I'm new to all this. I said, and I've got a brain tumor as well, so I don't really know if I'm thinking straight, you know. I don't know how to choose, you know. I said, I really don't know what to do. And he said, well, as you can imagine, in my position, I'm not allowed to give advice out. He says, but I can answer questions. He says, if you were to ask me who I would send a family member to, I could answer that. So I said, okay, well, who would you send a family member to? And he says, well, it's actually one of the doctors that you have an appointment with. He says, you need to go in and cancel the other appointment and do all that. So I did everything he said, but the effect that call had on me, it cleared everything up. And I know that was from God. You think about an organization the size of Duke University, and then you've got that whole huge neurology surgical department. It's not normal for the head of the department to call somebody about a scheduling mishap. I mean, that's like several levels below his position. I really believe God did that to comfort me, because the peace I had after that was amazing. So we go on, and then we're scheduled to get there a couple of days before the surgery. They were going to go in and do they go in through the groin and go up through the nerves, and they were going to check the blood flow and then possibly block the blood flow to where the tumor was at, so that when they take the tumor out, it's not a huge mess. Well, when they did that, just so y'all know, I'm not the healthiest eater. Something knocked loose in the veins, and I had a stroke. Not sure that when they do surgery on your brain, the tumor was located on my brain stem, just above the fourth ventricle and into the fourth ventricle here at the back. And I apologize. That's the way the mind works. It just every now and then, my memory goes blank. But if I get a second, it'll come back. Oh yeah, it's not what I wanted to hear. When he told me, I had the brain tumor and all the other stuff, but and especially not the stroke, but the thing common between the stroke and the tumor, it does affect your brain. Well, apparently somewhere, I'm not sure which or maybe both, I lost my memory. The doctors say it was probably a blessing, but I do not recall driving to Duke. I don't remember getting there, going in. I don't remember any of my time in the hospital. After I was at Duke for a while, I had to stay there after the surgery for my rehab and ICU and all that. They sent me back to Roanoke for rehab at a community hospital. They put me in an ambulance, sent me up here, went to community for a while, and I didn't start getting my memory back till the first week here. So my whole time at Duke, don't remember a thing. But another thing with the surgery, if we could put the slides up, I'll show you what to go in through the, there we go. Keep on going till you get to my bald head. Well, it's only the back of my head was bald. I didn't know for the longest time how they did the surgery, but it's not your typical thing. It's almost like if you were on a motorcycle and you had somebody sitting behind you, they go in through the back of your head here. They actually removed the top disc in my spinal column and made a hole and went up through the back of the head to get to the brainstem. But to do that, you have to move the brain out of the way a little bit, and the body doesn't like your brain being moved around. So that could have been some of it too. So I learned a lot about surgery I didn't know about. But can we keep on scrolling. It just, let's see, we're almost there. Oh, well, it's not important. But so they did the surgery, and that was another thing too. MRIs are great, but they don't show everything. When they got in there and got to looking around, not only was the tumor attached to my brainstem, it had grown around a nerve. So, I thought in my mind, I just, and it's funny too, I really wanted that tumor for some reason. I assumed he just put it in a jar and I could take it home, and I wanted to see what it looked like, I don't know why, but I really wanted that. And turns out, they ended up having to break up the tumor to get it away from the nerve that it had grown around. And this was a cancerous tumor. And I wasn't real thrilled about the free pieces of cancer floating around in my head, but he cleaned it out really well. The only thing that didn't come out was the very bottom of the tumor was attached to the fourth ventricle. And so there's a very, very thin layer of the wall of the tumor still there. So because of that, I had to have radiation. But there again, I was blessed. I did not have to do chemo. When I went back to, they had sent me back to Roanoke, did the whole thing, and give me a chance to heal a little bit. And I started some of my therapy. Went back to Duke again, and Duke has a thing called the Caring House. It's a lot like a Ronald McDonald House. It's just for cancer patients, and really neat setup. It's almost like a hotel, but it's more like a kind of cross between a house and a motel. But you had a nice room and bathroom and all that stuff, and then they had a community kitchen. And as part of that, they had a hallway lined up with lockers, so you could do your own food. And then they had groups that would come in every evening, just about, that would fix a meal for you. We had Boy Scouts one night, several church groups. But I met a lot of wonderful people there. And man, watching what some of the other ones had to go through with the chemo, I was blessed it was just radiation. Radiation messes with you too, but I don't think quite as bad. But that was a wonderful place. Felt a lot of God's hand there. Actually had a little pond outside, and the weather was not bad. It was late fall, but Denise and I would spend a lot of our lunches out there. It was very relaxing. It was God provides in a lot of unusual ways, but it was calming. Went through the whole thing with getting it removed. And I don't know where it came from, but I had this thing, my main prayer, of course, pray God heal me, do the other, but I just said, God, send me good people. And that one really paid off. I mean, can you put the pictures back up again with me for the radiation machine? A lot of it I was comfortable with until I went for my first visit for the radiation. Saw the doctor, and they said, well, we have to make a mask for you. And I knew nothing about radiation. And I said, what's the mask for? He says, well, we don't want your head to move. He says, it's got to be very precise where we send this radiation. And that's a huge machine. I mean, that's a big room that thing's in. And it's got these two big arms that you can't really see in the picture that move around that shoot the radiation into your head. But I'm not fond of restriction. And when I realized they were going to clamp my head to that table, I did not like that at all. And somebody, and there again, my memory's not great, somebody here at Bethel had mentioned to me before we go, when you, and this may help some of y'all out, when you go for a procedure, and you get in there and you got this big, awful looking equipment around you, pray for the people in the room. Don't be thinking about what's going to happen with the other. God gives you the ability to control your mind, just as you control what you look at or do other things. He gives you the ability to control what you're thinking about. So I made an effort, and I thought about those people, and I prayed for them, and not just, pray for them to do a good job so I don't get, cook my brain. Pray for them in their lives and, their families and stuff like that. And my dad's always been a very friendly kind of person, and I've learned a lot from him. And I would visit with the people, but that first visit, when they were clamping me to that table, I was praying hard for everybody else because, I was not comfortable with that at all. But after a while, I got used to it. And then, believe it or not, I actually look forward to going to those visits. I enjoyed talking to the people, and they treat me really well. That was a God thing because, it's not a normal place you would want to go. But I liked it. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier, too, is when we were in the hospital at Duke, all the trauma to the brain and moving it around, cutting that thing out and everything, you can develop what they call ICU delirium. You sort of freak out. And apparently I did it in a pretty bad way. I was not very nice to a lot of people. I'm sorry. I really did not want to do that. Especially Denise. I was a bad patient. I don't know, and I'm really not like this. I think it's a brain thing, but I did not like being confined, and I was tired of being in bed. I ripped all the IVs and hoses out and tried to escape several times. So they assigned a nurse. Her job was to make sure I stayed in bed. That didn't work either, and I wanted out. And eventually it was decided that, I was tied to the bed until I got out of there. But in the process, even tied, I would try to get out. And Denise would very lovingly try to, hey, you need to be here, calm down, do this other. And I was very, very mean to her. And it was bad enough she had to leave the room. But the nurses there were amazing. They went out and took care of her and made sure she was okay. And it means a lot because they reminded her that, hey, he's not his normal self. And that they looked after her when I couldn't. And I apologize. I didn't mean to be that way. But I was. And that's the other thing, praying for good people. God put those people there. They took care of her too. And I had a nurse in there, a male nurse named Pete. I don't know, Denise told me his name. But this dude was amazing. He figured out that I needed something to do, He just kind of got me. So he went in the bathroom and come out with a big stack of washcloths and said, okay, Steve, he says, I'm running behind. I need your help. Can you fold these things for me? So I'd fold them all up. I'd give them to him. He'd disappear. Found out he was going back to the bathroom. He'd just mess them all up and carry them back out to me again. But I didn't know, and it kept me active and kept me out of trouble. But unfortunately, he couldn't be there all the time. That's when I would misbehave and do the other stuff. But so did all that. Come back and do my rehab and all the other, and there again, more good people. And and I've done rehab at like 3 or 4 different facilities now. Because I mean, it's rough. You have to learn things all over again. It's funny when you be 59 and you're proud that you can tie your shoes, but and I'm still not all the way there. My balance has got a little ways to go yet, but I really didn't want to wait till I was 100% and say, oh, look what God has done and all that, because I don't want to forget a lot of the parts that are still fresh on my mind. And God has done amazing things. I'm probably 95%. And I think some of this, I don't know. I think some of it may have been from being tied to the bed. Some of it could be like the nerve damage, because before the surgery, these 2 fingers were numb. And they went and did all the nerve tests. They're thinking carpal tunnel or something of that nature. And they passed here in Roanoke. And then when I was back in rehab here at Carilion, my whole hand is numb, and it stays that way 24/7. It kind of like you have your hand go to sleep and you feel like the little pins and needle kind of thing. It's that way all the time. Then the nerves right here through my shoulder, they're not quite right either. But it's improving. And the doctor told me, the radiation doctor told me, he says, if it's probably nerve damage, he says, if it is, he says, that's one of the slowest things in your body to heal. He says, it'll take years before it gets back to normal. So, and he says, it's so slow you don't notice it. And he wasn't lying. I have to go back and physically think about how it was before. And then I can tell that there's change. But I can't just feel it like when you break your wrist and say, oh yeah, it's feeling better. It's not like that. It's a very long process. But the main thing I wanted to get across to everyone is that God was with me through the whole thing. And I know there's people that's going to say, you just got lucky. You got a good doctor. You did your research. You got a good doctor. You had a good nurse, things like that. But I could feel a comfort, the church praying for me. My Sunday school class, we call them connect groups now, but my Sunday school class is amazing. We're a very diverse group of almost old people. A lot of different personalities, but we all get along. And in the church, the different personalities, we accept each other for who they are, and they've been praying for me, and you can feel the prayers. And I want people to understand, and some of it you're going to have to take my word for until you experience something similar yourself. But that's something, because I've heard Hilton talk about it before. You can be a Christian and watch online and do the other, but you're really missing out on a big part of God if you're not here. And not just our church. If you find another one, do your homework though. Make sure you find a Bible-believing church. But what you get out of it is unbelievable. And some of it is just downright God. That phone call from the head of the Duke surgery, I can't imagine in my mind, I've been around a lot and been in a lot of different offices, why somebody at that level would take the time to call somebody about an appointment problem. It doesn't make sense. But to me, it makes sense because I needed it in the worst way. I knew I was doing the right thing. So I didn't do this exactly by my notes or anything else, but I nervous when they strapped me to that table with a mask on my face. But other than that, I had a comfort level through the whole thing. And I don't know anything about medical stuff or stuff like that. It's just because God gave me that comfort. So the two big goals I had is I wanted to share what I went through and what God can do for you. And the other is I want to thank the church. I can't tell you how thankful I am for, and then even afterwards, when I come back, there's people that will come up to me and speak to me and check on me. And the words of encouragement, I've had people in here that have been through similar but different surgeries or completely in the experiences, and whoever it was that told me about, praying for your medical team while you're laying there. The benefit that I received from y'all is tremendous. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's made a world of difference in my life. So I got a little bit more to go. I mean, it's getting there. But where God has taken me already is just amazing. And that's my big thing. Long as people understand there is a God, and he will look out for you. You just have to look for it sometimes. And sometimes if you want God to speak to you, you need to be in the right place. A lot of what, because back to what I said before, you see movies and all that, and some of the stuff you read in the Bible, God appeared to him in a dream and stuff like that. It's not always that way. He's got a lot of different methods. And I know a lot of what was spoken to me through people here was through God. I mean, it was his words teaching me how to get through this. And he did get me through it. So I would encourage everyone to look and pay attention and get to know God. Some of it, you hear the old terminology, fire insurance and stuff like that. That is a thing, but the benefit I've got from God just here on earth is tremendous. It's worth it just for that. I mean, but to get the eternal life, I mean, it's just amazing. So I would highly encourage you to do that. And just to mention also, I have no motive other than being thankful to God. I mean, it's not going to make me any better if more people show up to church or any of that stuff. I just want you to understand that it is out there, and it's a good thing, and it is well worth looking into. That and thank you. I can't say that enough. I appreciate what you've done, and a lot of people it continues on. I mean, people still. They check on me just about every Sunday, to see how the progress is. And I try to check on some of the other ones that are going through it. And if anybody has got surgery coming up or something like that, I'll share what people have shared with me if I can do it. And keep in mind, too, if you don't like what you hear, go to another doctor. I mean, it's just, but I'm going to finish up and let Hilton come up here and close everything out. But I truly, truly thank everyone in here for all that you have helped me with through this whole process. And just one other quick thought. It's just not this process. My entire life, people have helped me in the church. Even smaller things. Car problems, how to fix your lawnmower, things. I mean, things you wouldn't think of being God things. It's come from helpful people throughout the church, which, what's the deal with the lawnmower or whatever? Well, it affected my life and how I did and all that. And God knows you have a life that you got to get through and all that stuff. And he will put people there to help you, especially if you're in the right place where you can get it. I'm going to grab my pens. We'll get Hilton up here. Thank you, man.
Steve, thank you so much. I know we ran out of time, but I do want to say this real quick, is that Steve, you mean a lot to us for a lot of different reasons, and you have served in so many different ways. And even now, even though you're not doing some of the things you wish you could, you have been and continue to be such a blessing to us. I remember the years crew chief at World Changers, and we were in the snoring room. I don't know if you remember that, but they put us in the snoring room. That's before I had a CPAP. Anyway, but you have served as a deacon in so many different ways. So I just want to thank you so much for your love, and I know everybody feels the same about you. I know you feel like you've received so much, but you've given so much. And I just want to thank you so much for everything that you've been doing for in the life of this church. Also, I just want to, I'm sorry. Let me just say one more thing, I'll let y'all sing. As soon as we dismiss, parents, just go straight and get your kids and make sure you thank one of the things I was thinking about every week, and I don't mention this, really, really let every worker know how much you appreciate them and thank them so much for taking care of your kids. I mean, that's a big endeavor. That's a big ministry. That's a big thing. I just want to encourage you, parents, every week, just tell them thank you, okay? God bless you.
So if you just stand with us, we've been sitting a long time. And this song is the one that's been an anthem for our church for a while, and we thought, what better way to finish out a day like today than to sing this one together. Here we go.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, and in darkest nights you are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Oh, your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running, it keeps running after me. all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness, God. Oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
Amen, church.
In heaven, I just pray that you'll dismiss us for love and compassion one for another. God, I'm so grateful that you challenged our hearts today, God, that you helped us to put this past year in perspective. And God, that we learn from our mishaps, we learn from our mistakes, we learn from those things. And God, also at the same time, God, as Steve has challenged today, Lord, we realize how precious living in life is. And God, how that you can't continue to allow us to live and to move on. And God, so help us, Lord, to seize today, to look at the opportunities you have in front of us, Father, and God, to live each day as if it could perhaps be our last day. May we be a mouthpiece for the gospel.